think we're here. I think we're live. I think this is it. Ta-da! Yes. For those of you watching who watch a lot of our shows, that's right. I almost run the end before the beginning. So we're going to do the show backwards tonight, Drax.
Okay.
So
thanks for coming. It was a great event. Hope you learned a lot.
Okay, and then we'll introduce and we'll be done.
There we go. It works for me.
Tonight we are going to talk about this, and this is something, Drax, you and I have heard as guys are trying to get their name out there. And you know, one of the things, and this is a common thing, that they're out there like, okay, do I go out there and do I do free gigs? Do I go out there and try to undercut the competition? Basically, trying to get their name out and doing it by a version of their price adjustments. Let's talk about that. What kind of let's kind of give an idea of why that's a bad idea, and then we'll talk about maybe some other options of what they can do to help get their names out there without having to.
It's a good idea if you're 13, 14, 15, or 16, and you've not done any events. It's a good idea if you've moved to a new market and you know no one, but it's never a good idea to cut your price below your business plan price point. Doing that is just stupid. When you cut your price below your business plan price point, you're losing money. Losing money. That's dumb. It's dumb in every world. It's dumb in every plan. Losing money is not something you make up in volume. There. Hopefully that was enough comedic relief. Guys, that's just and girls, that's really a dumb plan. Yes, I would encourage it for younger people. For example, if you've not done a lot of events, I would say being willing to do a free charity event or a free middle school event, a free midweek event, are all good ways to develop some chops and get some skills. Because, at some point, the bedroom DJ has to actually perform for more than himself and his mother. He's got to get out there and actually do something.
So Drax, let's put a pin in that for just a second now. Okay, so I've been a bedroom DJ. I've been practicing, and I think I've got some skills now. Let's talk about the idea that, okay, my business plan, I put it together, and I think I need to make $400 an event. Just, I'm throwing out a number. I'm throwing this out as what the business plan for this fictitious person is. Mm-hmm. Now, would I be better going out there and saying to people that, okay, I can do your event, and I can do it for this because I'm just starting out? Or would they be better off basically saying, I'm just starting out and my rates are going to be here, but I'm going to do it for free for you for your group because I need to get some exposure or I need to get some practice? What would be better, a discount or really just donating the time?
It really depends. Depends on a lot of factors.
Thanks, Ben Stowe.
Well, hey,
it's a good line.
It's a good line and it works.
And it's true here.
In the geekdom, it works. The reason I say it depends is it comes down to where your business plan is. If you say your business price point is really $400, which I don't know how you could really develop a business that fully takes care of all the things you need in a business at $400. But let's just say that that's just a number for discussion. We're not talking about anybody charging $400 as a real price. Then you could say to yourself, okay, well, this is a Tuesday party. I could be willing to do that for free to do my first event. I could be willing to do something at a reduced price, let's say 50% of whatever my business plan price point was, to get my feet wet, to actually get something under my belt.
Yes.
I would not suggest doing people's highly formalized, very intricate wedding that way.
For sure.
Now, if people are having a wedding and it's largely a kegger, let's just be honest, it's in someone's backyard with a beer keg and everybody's in shorts and there isn't all the formalities that typically accompany a wedding because they don't want it. And yes, folks, there's people out there that don't want all that stuff.
Yes.
We should not try to cram that down their throat or convince them into a different way. It's their party. Those might be events that one could consider getting some experience at. But don't become a bar mitzvah DJ and then go on to Facebook and say, I just booked a bar mitzvah. What's a bar mitzvah? How do I do one?
Yep, we've seen
Don't
it.
don't book a wedding at the Ritz or at a nice property in your market and go online and said, I just booked my first wedding. How do I do one? Instead, find a colleague. This is why belonging to the ADJA is a really important thing,
Very much
because
so.
it connects you with people that you can network with that are more than happy to help you. Because I guarantee you, any person in your market that's a member of ADJA would rather help you start out correctly and develop your business correctly than have you become a pariah, have you become a poor performer, a bait and switch artist, a no-show guy.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things happen. Anybody in the American Disc Jockey Association would welcome another colleague that wants to be better and wants to raise the bar. And we all know that we didn't all start out doing $3,000 weddings or $5,000 weddings, that we all started out somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
key is not to get your somewhere else at someone's very, very important event. So what I'd say is you call somebody that's in your market that you respect and trust, ask to shadow them. Learn from the master, learn from somebody doing well. When you shadow them and you learn from them, you see what they do. It's a good way to learn. After the event, you can have a wrap up with them and ask questions. Well, why did you do this introduction that way? Or why did you play your mixes this way? Why did you do these 3 songs? All things that you don't get to find out in a vacuum, in your bedroom or your garage or your living room or wherever else you happen to be rocking the platters like Tiesto.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I wouldn't normally encourage people to cut their price. Rather, what I did is I found a couple of charities that I believed passionately in their cause. And I didn't say, write me a check for this and I'll donate it back, because folks, not only is that stupid, it's illegal. I did their event for free. Why? Because having the Relay for Life or having the muscular dystrophy telethon in your market, with your playing music and stuff to keep the people on the phones and the people in the audience going, and you get a great written review and a great reference and a great recommendation. Those things matter because it shows you have heart and passion. But B, it's a chance to do things. Like in the case of the telethon, well, it was like 12 hours. So guess what, folks? You just can't play the same things over and over and over again for 12 hours. Rather, you got to be something different and do something different, or you're going to have problems.
Yep. Drax, let's hang on here just a little bit. You mentioned donated, or those free and donated events. I wanted to dig into that a little bit about ways to make this work and such. Let's take a little break here. Let's run our sponsor spots, and then we'll be back on the other side, and let's dig into that before we continue on. So there's some things in there that I know you and I've talked about in the past, and I want to make sure we hit those for the audience tonight. So
you bet. Sounds great.
We've got our sponsors for our summer 2016 shows right here, gang.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Top Hits USA from RPM, Our name says it all. Get the latest hits while they're the hottest. With Top Hits USA, you'll have the track for sure. Visit tophitsusa.com or call 800-521-2537 and get a free demo.
Okay, we are back. Before our break, we were just starting to kind of talk a little bit about donating our time for doing some events. And I wanted to get back here, Drax, and talk a little bit about now, because we see Relay for Life, and there's different events out there that we can donate our time for, and they don't have a budget to pay most of the time. They would like to have it donated. Well, there's ways we can make that exposure type event work for us and help us to build our business. So let's talk a little bit about some ideas with that.
Well, there's a number of things. One, you're going to get letters of reference from the organization afterward. But have you ever thought about a press release? Writing a simple paragraph or two and sending it to the local newspaper that you're going to be providing music and entertainment at Relay for Life, keeping all the people walking and running enthused and energized, keeping all their support people going. It's going to be a great thing. It becomes a very, very good opportunity for you. Put it in the newspaper, even if you have to pay to put it in the newspaper. Again, you know, that's part of growing a business is marketing. Get that press release out there. Get letters of endorsement and letters of recommendation from it. One other thing, if it's a great charity that you are actually passionate about, volunteer to serve with them on the committee.
Yeah.
Because here's a great tool for you. The people that serve on the committee are other community leaders of some import and substance. Now you're going to have a chance to talk with them, network them, meet them, but do not start passing your cards to them and hounding them for work.
Yep.
Rather, be a charitable contributor and you'll gain so much more respect. So in the idea of donated events, you want to focus on references, press releases, and other mediums of exposure. You want to get lots of pictures, get somebody that's a photographer, or they don't have to be a professional necessarily, but somebody that's good with a camera, not your iPhone. iPhones are great if it's a sunny Saturday afternoon, but if it's, you know, a Relay for Life and it's 3:00 in the morning, an iPhone not necessarily going to give you the best picture, because what you're going to want is some wide shots and some close-up shots with you behind the banner, in front of the banner, etc., where there's great brand pieces, because now these images can be into your portfolio on your website. They become the basis of some further effort that you've got some experience. Don't lie about your experience. Don't tell people you've done, 50 weddings. I find it amazing. Literally every DJ you find on the internet has been a DJ for 10 years.
Yep.
Yet they're barely 20. I'm sorry, I don't believe you were an actual working DJ at 10. Because you might have been a DJ playing, I met at the expo a kid that was 11 that could mix like crazy.
Yes.
But I'm not yet believing that the guy is working every Friday and working every Saturday. He's developing his craft, honing his chops. And he probably works some, but make an honest assessment of it. That's the best thing to get further work. And then also don't get yourself in the trap of doing free gigs forever, because exposure dollars do not pay your rent. They don't put gas in the car, and they don't put food.
Yeah.
Or they don't also pay your subscription to promo only, or other music services. By the way, use legal music services. If you doubt, go to ADJ's Facebook page. I've listed all the legal services there.
Cool. Good.
So as you do those things, start to formulate a plan to say, okay, I'm starting to get experience, and now start to focus on the types of events that you'll like to do. And now I'd start to put into play my business plan, saying, okay, I've done a half a dozen events. Now it's time to pull up the trousers, and it's time to do one for money. It's time to do one for my business plan rate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you should be able to do one in a similar vein because you've got success. Nothing makes you better than success. So you've got some success, you have some experience, you know how they're done. Now you can market to similar types of events that you've done. As I said earlier, don't try to sell events you've never done and have no knowledge of. You want to learn how to do mitzvahs, quinceaneras, weddings, roadie for somebody. You might make 50 or 75 bucks being the gear boy or girl, but you'll learn about how those events flow and function. And then you can look to be an asset to the person you helped. Maybe they'll hire you to augment their mitzvah business or kin's business or their wedding business.
And I think that's a great point for those that are out there trying to get started, is that they can spend their Saturday night would be better shadowing, especially if you can get someone who's an experienced. If you can go shadow someone like a Mike Walter,
Yeah,
that's worth paying for, to go and have that experience. You know, you can shadow a Mike Walter or Bill Herman or whoever. It's worth your Saturday night to not be making money from a secondary source, to go and shadow that person.
well, that's exactly what's important, you know, is you want to start your business. You want to learn to do it correctly. We often joke about people with 10 years experience. Do they really have 10 years of experience, or is it 1 year of experience repeated 9 times? So what you want to do is take the chance to learn from experts. I mean, that's why you're on this video YouTube channel with us tonight. You want to learn from people more experienced than yourself. It's why you'll tune into Bill, you'll tune into Mitch, you'll tune into other programs to augment your knowledge. I'd highly recommend that you take advantage to go to educational events.
Oh yeah.
To learn, because if you come down to you're just starting out, nothing could be more valuable than to shadow your market leader and learn the tricks and the tips. But here's the key: pay them back by being a legitimate colleague. Don't say, oh, now I can do that for a third of what they do, because that's just being stupid.
For sure. Let's talk about for those who are wanting to get some experience spinning. Now, let's say they've put their things together, they've been practicing, they want to get ready to go out, and they need to get that basically experience in front of people. They take the track of going and doing some shadowing on the weekends, but now they need to be able to get some experience out there in the field without ruining somebody's wedding or ruining somebody's bar mitzvah. Where are some places that they're going to be able to go to find some ways to spin and get some experience in front of a crowd?
Middle schools, grand openings.
In middle schools, by the way, for those who aren't following that, there are many middle schools that have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday dances now. Very seldom have my middle schools been calling and wanting a Friday or Saturday. Never Saturday.
No, never a Saturday. It's always during school time. They cut out 6th period or whatever, and they have a party for a couple hours. Grocery store openings. Another great opportunity would be lost train of thought.
Supper
Grand
clubs.
openings,
Grocery stores.
clubs.
My little, we've taken our boys up. They have a popular night at the local supper club, and it's like, can they come up and they just are going to do some background music for an hour, and it's background music, and it's still there they are in front of a live audience, and they're worried about no dead air and making sure that their volume levels are the same, and all these little things that we just do naturally. They can practice that. Yes, they don't make any money except tips, and I think the one night he made $20 in tips, and he's like, "Woo!"
When I was young, I actually spun outside a record store.
Sure.
And before I thought about the idea of talking to them about it, I just showed up and set up.
What's that kid doing out there? Well, you see.
Well, the cool part was they didn't really mind, because I was playing some good, solid music that was popular at the time, and it was a way that got a lot of the foot traffic there around the college. I was a high school student at the time. Got them going, oh, hey, let's go and check this out, because I was playing a lot of the songs that were on the radio. Back then, we played them on these big pieces of plastic. But and that worked out well. I would suggest, though, ask people. That's always a much better option.
Yeah.
Another good thing is throw a party. Have a party at your house, invite your friends, and spin.
Yeah. You need to have that time in front of live humans, more than just maybe your spouse or, your two buddies. You've got to have extended friends there, or even strangers there, because that's always better when there's strangers in there, because all of a sudden your anxiety level will start to build, and then how you handle that and get yourself ready to perform under that is huge. It's critical to be.
Well, exactly. And when you do this, don't use the sync button, because you don't learn anything that way. What you want to do is be old school. You want to look at mixing the stuff old school, because that's going to develop the groove in your heart. It's going to let you feel the music and understand how it all works. Because here's the deal. Anybody can go into their software of choice and select autoplay and sync and line up a bunch of 128 beat songs and rock that out. Anyone can do that. That's not a DJ. That's no skill, no talent, none. So develop better talent.
Exactly. And we're not even talking microphone side of it. We're just talking music playback.
Just music playback off your controller. And, I would suggest, if you're getting started, don't be a laptop DJ with a mouse. Nothing looks worse than you playing your music from a computer out an 1/8-inch mini plug into a mixer or into a powered speaker.
Mm-hmm.
It just screams amateur. Have a mixer. Doesn't mean you can't use a computer, but maybe an inexpensive controller would be a good option.
Yep. And there's so many out there now.
Well, exactly. Just because it just looks professional. When I first started digital DJing, I was somewhat relegated to use a computer and a mouse. See, laptops weren't even powerful enough to do it back then, but there wasn't any controllers, as in none, zero.
Mm-hmm.
So you had no choice but use a trackball or a pointing device to select your songs, and mixing truly was a matter of running a couple of decks and being able to literally time when you push play on one and push stop on the other one.
Yeah.
It literally required some work, because you had to adjust pitch in your software up and down to try to get the right pitch, and adjust the BPM to try to have them match. So it was a bit more work. Now it's all simple. So invest in a controller to augment what you do, because it just looks better. It doesn't make you look like an amateur. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with computers, but you want to start out looking like a pro, acting like a pro. Having a real mixer or a controller with a mixer integrated into it makes you look like a pro. Have backup equipment, because if you're doing a party for somebody else and they're actually paying you, having your computer puke or whatever would not be a really positive experience. Again, not good PR, not good press. Have a backup. Be a pro. You're wanting to be a pro, start like a pro. Doesn't mean you have to tie up thousands of dollars, but you got to start like a pro and have the right stuff. It's better to rent speakers and have great solid console components that are yours than owning the speakers, because that day can come when you can buy the really cool ETX speakers, which, by the way, they just crush.
Oh my gosh. Yes, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah,
another story.
I got to play with the first ETX that were here the other day in the office, and I'm an EKX fan. But anyway, that's a video you guys can check out later. Drax, we got a couple of questions that we're going to deal with. I wanted to just kind of circle us around now, because we talked about basically should we do the discounted events when we first start out, and I think what we've kind of put to, you could, but another story. But yeah,
another story.
There we go. Ooh, the video just restarted, and the audio was on. Sorry about that, guys. You heard us twice, but you can is what basically the idea. But to put together a more successful business, we'd highly recommend shadowing, working with professionals in your market or in your neighboring market to learn the trade. practice in events or situations where you're not going to be basically become known as the guy who's doing free weddings, because that's not good.
Or worse, the guy that ruins
A wedding. Exactly. So we're going to get into some questions now. We've got a couple of them. The first one that came up, and if you guys have got questions, please, YouTube, in the chat, put those down, because we're going to try to do some question and answer stuff here as we're going on. But the one was talk about the option of waiving all deposits as a way to grow your business. So in essence, I would say, we can waive the deposit to get that booking, get that contract signed as a way to grow the business.
Why would I do that?
Well, I can understand why someone might think that, but let's go, Drax. I know it's tough for you to play, to play the devil's advocate with this one, but let's just go that way, and let's talk about why it's a bad idea to. Let's talk about what deposits are there for to start with. That's probably our best way to start this.
Well, first of all, the deposit is there now we've moved past the doing it for free.
Yep.
I would say it's better to do it for a discount than it is to waive a deposit. Now, numerically, those things might all come out to be the same dollar amount, but a deposit means that client is invested in a commitment to your service. You waive the deposit, they may choose to say, I found somebody that I like better.
Yep.
Hey, sorry, too bad. You've got nothing. You've got no leverage, and you don't have an actual contract. So I would have a written contract, and then I would have that set up such that they're going to get a reduced end fee, but I would still require whatever I had established as the deposit in the development of my business plan. That's what I would have running on there.
For sure. And the deposit or retainer, whichever way, it doesn't really matter wording wise. We all know what we're talking about here. That money that they pay down is really there because we have only this much inventory. Our inventories are Saturday nights. Maybe we get lucky in a Friday or a Sunday, but we have only so many Saturday nights. And if I have a contract and they back out, to a point, that retainer is there to help basically cover some of my hard costs that I am out. Because if I plan that I want to make $50,000 a year, that means every week I've got to be making at least $1,000. And that means that second weekend in June, I've got to be making my $1,000 egg, or else I am behind the 8 ball. And if I'm not getting a retainer or a deposit, that's so I would not recommend that.
And I would set your deposit to be at least 50% of your fee. And the reason I say that is, again, now if we're talking that you've got a business plan and you're actually out there now selling the party, if the deposit is at least 50%, then it's at least approximating what your costs probably are.
Yep.
Your hard costs of operation. So while you may not have made profit if they bail, you will have at least not lost money. And there's the argument, well, they didn't do the party, therefore I didn't have the costs. Again, this would come down to, if it's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday that my business plan is built on and they bail, then that definitely is something that's going out against my profits and against my costs. If it's a midweek event, then it's totally a doable thing at whatever price point. And if I lose the event, at least I've not lost everything. At least I've gotten something to show for it. There's an argument about crediting deposits and things. On a full price event, if somebody cancels, I will credit the deposit forward. But if it's a discounted event, the deposit's forfeit.
And Mark Reed here mentions that the deposit is the legal refundable. We've had this discussion. Depending upon what state, it really depends on what small claims court judge you're working with, because each one will interpret the same thing differently from region, county to county. Sorry to give everybody a view of my nostrils. I had to put the light back up. Here's the deal. Deposit and retainer, that's a bunch of legal baloney. It's a bunch of baloney. The difference between keeping it and giving it back is earning it. And you can choose to say it's a date retention fee, it's a date availability fee. You can have any number of semantic arguments about it. In the end, when it goes to court, the judge is going to ask you two things. What have you done to mitigate their damage? I.e., what have you done to
find other work
Between
to
keeping
replace
it
that
and giving
lost
it back
income
is
so
earning
you
it.
could refund to them. The second is, what have you done to earn the money? And you can have the argument that by taking the date off the calendar, it's fully earned. The judge is going to say no, unless I go forward and say, here's the 9 other calls I received for that date. You can see here I called every one of them back and emailed them back promptly after the cancellation. And you can see I did my very best to obtain any kind of booking, even a lower price booking, to mitigate their damages. But unfortunately, I was not able to. Therefore, the damages should be forfeit under the terms of the contract.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point in time when people wanted to debate the issue of retainer and deposit. Most good lawyers that I've talked to today say it really doesn't matter.
Yep.
What matters is, what have you done to mitigate their damage, and what have you done to earn the money? So one of the things that I do is when I get a contract and they pay the deposit, the first thing I do, lickety split, I send them a proprietary planner. That's my planner. It's a work product. I've got the information out to them, and I've already put information into it for them. I go do a site survey at the venue, even if it's one I've been there 100 times. It's noted in my logs.
Yep.
I went to the South Beach Radisson, did a site survey, met Julie, the head of catering for Bill and Sue's wedding, or Tom and Gary's, whatever the event is. I go through that, and I now am creating history. I'm creating documentable evidence that I was doing my due diligence. I was doing the work in good faith under the predicate of a contract. I also try to get a planning meeting done within the first 30 days after contract.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as possible, get that first planning meeting after they've had the materials for at least a week and go over it. Even if they've not filled it out, go over it with them, educate them on it, talk to them about their event, get more data from them about what they envision for that day, and then start to put that work together, document that work. Guess what happens? You go to a judge and you say, here's the notes of everything I've done on that event in good faith for that event, which should be paying me $2,500. This is what all I've done for it. Here's the work. Here's the people I've called after they canceled. Here's the work I did before, meeting with the venue. Oh, they wanted some special songs. Here's my receipts for purchasing those special songs. Here's the work I did crafting their first dance based on their ideas, based on the planner. This is the proprietary planner I've given them. Now you have work product.
Yep.
No judge in the country is going to overturn your claim or allow their claim for a refund, because you will do it. Now, the only other question that the judge will ask, and you got to be prepared, he will ask, have you ever refunded anybody else? This is why you don't make precedents of just refunding people because somebody died or because somebody's going in the military. All great things and reasons to do so, but you have to consider the precedent you establish in your business. And certainly someone dying could probably be viewed as the acceptable thing. If people are living, but they're just going to a different country, or they broke up, and you did it, then the judge will look and say, well, you did all that work product for the other people too, right?
And then
And you go, yes, but you refunded them, right? Yeah. Okay, you're done. They will either award to the plaintiff or they'll do a split judgment. What that means is you'll get half and they'll get half, under the predicate that he doesn't think either of you are telling the truth, or either of you have
grounds.
A completely solid case. Sorry that got long, but that's an important piece for you guys starting out to understand and get a good contract. ADJ's got great contracts, but you'll still need them reviewed by a local lawyer.
Very much so, especially one more that works in your area.
Exactly.
So they're wondering about the idea with the deposit retainer or what have you. Is what should a person ask for a 50%, and should they be doing that on all events, or are there some events you wouldn't and such? So let's start with the should you do it for all events?
Yes. Why not? I mean, here's an example. somebody contacts you for a wedding in May of 2017.
Yep.
And your fee is $1,900 or $2,500 for your DJ or your photo booth, whatever it is you're selling. And you take $200. 3 or 4 months, 5 months from now, they find somebody that will do that service for $1,000.
Yep.
Well, guess what? It's in their financial interest to cancel you, even if they lose their $200, because it's still less than what they would pay you. But if your deposit is weighty to where your fee's $1,500 and that's now $750, now they're going to go, well, somebody's got to be dirt bones cheap for us to be willing to write off the deposit, retainer, whatever, to Drax to hire this other company. You can start to see the wisdom in that. And it makes them fully vested. But guess what? It makes you fully vested because you've now gotten real money. It's not like a couple $100 and you're going to work your butt off for $200. And because they know if they walk out, are you going to really proceed for them for $200? You know, are they going to come after you for $200? Probably not. If you collect a good sum of money and they want to walk out, they may come after it, but you will have work product to substantiate it. And when it's a good sum of money, the less likely they are to have cold feet, change their mind, get the idea that somebody's brother's webcam hooked up to a stick and a photo printer's a photo booth, and some idea that their buddy with a couple of iPads running DJ is now a real DJ. And yes, you got the speakers at Tradio Shack before they went out of business, and he has them perched on top of sawhorses because tripod stands are real expensive.
Yeah.
So think about those things. You want to collect as much of your fee as possible. Here's my structure. I get 50% at the contract signing. I get another 25% at the first meeting. I get the final 25% 45 to 60 days ahead of the event, or no later than 30 days.
Yep.
So what's that tell us? Within a window of time, I've collected 75% of my fee. They are not going to back out on me. Now, there may be something come up, truly, death, whatever, that might alter that, but we've got remediation mechanisms for them. On the flip side is, they're not going to go find some $500 DJ because they know that I've got a good case to win, and it will still cost them nearly as much for that cheap DJ that will likely ruin their event as they were going to pay me in the end. So get your money. And if people are squeamish about it, simply give them what I do in mine. It's a written money-back guarantee. They will be 100% satisfied with your service, or they'll get 100% of their money back. That's good for them. It's good for you. Good for you because they're locked in.
Yep.
It's good for them because they know that you're not going to be a schmuck and you're not going to fail on their event. Yes, there's language in that clause that says they've got to notify me during the event if there's something that's a concern to them. Again, because contractually, they need to provide me an opportunity to remediate that or to make it better. Now, playing the wrong first dance song, there's probably not a lot of do-overs for that.
Yeah.
Playing the wrong song, not a lot of do-overs for that. So guess what? That holds your feet to the fire to be on point.
Yep.
And not do stupid things like play the wrong song, make the wrong introductions. What that means is the professional DJ is going to be well rehearsed. You're not going to get to the event and read off a clipboard the names and the introductions. You're going to, if you're still reading from a clipboard, you're going to at least have read that a dozen times or 24 times and got the phonetic pronunciations, and you're going to be on your money. You're going to be on point.
Yes, for sure.
Because you've got money. You've got skin in the game, that it has to be right. And so it's a great marketing tool because very few other DJs want to offer a money-back guarantee. But when you do, it imparts confidence, it imparts knowledge of your craft, and it imparts the ability that they know you will not let them down.
Yep, for sure. Somebody asked about corporate gigs. Some corporates, when you want to go book an event with them, they'll give you our corporate payment policy is, to submit the things and then to pay after the event is over. I've run into this, especially when I'm working with a corporate event from one of the local hotels, and they basically get me connected with that. I go and do the show, and then a check comes, 10 days later, kind of a thing. How could a person deal with that?
That part's fine. If you're talking about dealing with Boeing, you're probably not going to get them to acquiesce to your terms. You're dealing with a big company, they're probably not going to acquiesce to your terms. And on a sidebar, be prepared for their corporate attorney to give you a whole list of crap they want removed or changed from the contract. What you have to decide is where you're going to say no. Like in my contract, it has a hold harmless clause, which means if a riot breaks out, I'm not responsible for anybody getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That hold harmless means something happens and it's not my fault. I'm held harmless. I've had attorneys want me to take it out. I've said, sorry, I'm not going to do that, because you're telling me by me asking me to take it out, you want me to take some of your event's liability from you, which I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
You're the one writing big checks and inviting 200 people, maybe 300, 500 people I have never met before. I don't know what your audience might be. You could be the International Association of Gangbangers. So no. However, if they want to pay you 10 days after, again, have a great written contract that's been well documented by a local attorney, not just any attorney, but a contracts attorney. And I guarantee you they're going to pay promptly and on time, because it's in their best interest to.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a solid contract, the last thing that Qualcomm or Boeing or a big company wants to do is elicit one of their $400 to $500 an hour attorneys to go answer a allegation in court.
Yep.
And unless your fee is $10,000 or higher, that is going to be answered in small claims court, which means their attorney can't come. So who are you going to sue? You're going to sue the chairman of the company. The chairman.
Mm-hmm.
Not Sally HR person. You're going to sue the person with signatory authority on the company to bind the company, not Sally and HR. And if you do, you're going to have in your contract under that statement, I hereby swear under penalty of perjury, I have legal authority to bind XYZ company in all matters subject to this event for all sums up to and including whatever number you want to put.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you say, well, why would I do that? That attorney's going to want to kick it out. Yeah, they're going to want to. And I'm going to say, you're right, because I don't want Sally, HR person, signing a contract that she has no legal binding authority to indebt the company with. Yeah, you'll find that people take you may lose an event or two, but eventually, honestly, the real companies will get that you're a real player, that you understand business. And because you've got a money back guarantee in your contract, you're saying, look, I'm just getting equity here. I'm getting a contract to you that's fair for you, fair for me, that requires that the person signing it actually has signatory authority to bind the company. And that's real important.
Mm-hmm.
Because truly, if Sally HR signs it, the first thing they're going to do is say, she had no authority to do that. She did that of her own.
Yeah.
I'm the president. I actually wanted to hire Billy Bob's DJ
Mm-hmm.
or a photo booth. And all of a sudden you're left going, well, I didn't. Yeah, but.
Yeah.
So again, a well-laid contract handles it. In the case of corporate events, if it's some small company, I would talk to them about, I'm a small business too. I need to get a certain amount up front, and I'll be happy to take the balance net 10.
Yeah.
It's managed risk. Now, if we're back to the topic of you're a guy starting out, I would tell you don't start out with corporate events like a corporate party.
For sure.
A corporate event like spinning at a grocery store, open house, if you didn't get paid, it's low risk for the experience that you gained.
Mm-hmm.
It would suck to not get paid. Don't let me misstate that. But it's not like you entertained 500 people in the Hilton Ballroom for XYZ Corporation and they walked off of $1,000 chit, that would definitely suck, and I would go to court. I would take them to court. So again, guys, get a properly written contract. Doesn't need to be 20 pages. It needs to be 1 to 2 pages, well written with the right clauses to protect you and to protect them. Because here's the other aspect of contract dispute in court. The equity and balance of the contract makes it stronger than if you have a contract that's all about you and not much about them. You have a good chance the judge will overturn it and say the contract was signed under duress. That's why you want to have cancellation for them, cancellation for you, yada, yada.
Yep.
You want to have, to the appearance of the court, a well-made, equally balanced, equitable contract between two parties. Then those are virtually unbreakable.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. If you guys have any questions or anything, you can put those down into the chat down below. The chat on the side goes away after we are done tonight, unfortunately. And if you can put those down below, we'll do our best to answer those questions, because we covered a lot of ground tonight. And there's a lot of good information that you're going to have to kind of soak in a little bit, because we've covered just a lot of great info. So, Drax, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to get in touch if they want to ask questions privately about their biz?
Well, they can get hold of me through the ADJA, the American Disc Jockey Association, at adja.org. If they're a photo boother, because I've invited a number of photo boothers to get in on these kinds of topics, because they kind of apply to a lot of other elements of the events, they can reach me through the Photo Booth Association. You can do that online at thephotoboothassociation.com, or you can reach us on Facebook at the Photo Booth Association, or ADJA on Facebook. Or you can message me as Hugo Drax, and I'm happy to help you. If you're a member of either organization, you can actually contact me and I will coach you for free. Mm-hmm. Help you with whatever problem you got going on, to help you build a good business, get the right metrics in your company, and be successful. Again, these are reasons that you want to be a part of a national trade organization, is because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
We're tossing a lot of things out here on the come, because we want people to realize that knowledge is valuable and it's powerful. And believe me, there's a lot more I could share on these subjects than John and I have managed to cover in a mere half an hour.
Yeah, for sure. Great stuff as always, Drax. Thank you much for your time. Gang, I'm going to put the link, if you will, you guys go to YouTube, youtube.com/discjockeynews. You'll see a playlist up there of business courses and such that we've done. That's what Drax and I have been talking about in our different shows. And we've got a lot of different shows, a lot of great information and such. Take some time, clear your schedule for a couple of hours, or maybe a half an hour, and watch, in segments. But Disc Jockey News YouTube page, playlist, find the business videos. You guys will really benefit from that. So, Drax, once again,
when's the next one?
Okay, we'll find that. I hadn't looked at here. I don't know. We've got another one coming up.
We do. I mean, we might as well let them know.
Yep, DJNTV.com, gang. If you go out there, and in the upper left-hand corner is the schedule, and right there we go down to the schedule, and it will be all the way down on the bottom. This is our last scheduled one. Well, we've got to get our September. We haven't scheduled September yet.
Well, we have to get September scheduled and get out through the rest of the year.
Yeah, we'll do that, because it's time to get our fall lined up. So we'll have to get that, gang. But again, full schedule at DJNTV is out at DJNTV.com. Schedule, you can scroll, you can see pretty much every night that we're going to be doing programming from now until Christmas, and we're adding more content. I think we added a couple more shows earlier today, so we'll be adding more things. So we'll get Drax on, because we've got more topics to cover. Drax, thank you much for being on tonight.
It was a pleasure, John, as always. Guys, remember, knowledge is power. Not really. Applied knowledge is power.
There you go. Good. Well said. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. Brian Red will be jumping on with us. And you guys will have to bounce out to that. I don't have that link, unfortunately, handy. But we'll see you guys at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern with Brian Red and my show tonight. Thanks for watching.
Good night, guys.